Welcome, everyone. Today we're going to talk about the lethality of your adventures. So what the heck does that mean? This isn't something that you're going to find mentioned at all in say the Dungeon Master's Guide. But nonetheless, it's incredibly important that you get this straight as a DM in your mind. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself hemming and hawing, and you're going to make mistakes. You as the DM need to decide, and you might want to just flat out talk about this with your players at the session 0, or you might want to thematically introduce it in the game by explaining that, if for a sandbox situation, if you go to the dungeon in the mountains, there's tales of many heroes coming back with half their party killed. This is you communicating the lethality that you are trying to achieve. What is the likelihood of a player dying? There's no right answer. You can go from the spectrum of essentially the amusement park level on one end, where there's really no chance anyone's going to die. The heroes are going in just to smash up the monsters. It's just a matter of like how quickly can they do it is really is the game. Versus there's maybe a 50% chance that somebody's going to die on every encounter, would maybe be the other spectrum of it. So multiple things to consider here. It's all about you not making a mistake while you're juggling many things going on in a campaign that breaks the lethality that you're trying to achieve. To consider that, as part of that is outright what are going to be some of your decisions while you are running the monsters. Let me give you an example. You have a Manticore, it has multi-attack. You attack Lena, and lo and behold, the first attack was a crit. And you weren't quite maybe expecting it, but Alina goes down because it was a crit. Are you going to put the second and third attacks continuing into Alina, which will probably kill her? Or are you going to say, no, Manticore moves off to the next character? You want to have this ready in your head. You don't want to be hemming and hawing in the game, and then your players are going to be like, what's going on? You also need to decide, am I going to fudge a die roll if I feel like it's going to break my lethality, my desired lethality. If I rolled a crit, if I'm going to roll another crit, I'm not going to allow it because that's going to break my lethality. So you want to be straight in your head. That's what I'm going to do. You don't want to be trying to make decisions on the fly because that's going to lead to inconsistencies or you're going to make a mistake. Now, the next thing to talk about is a completely different aspect than just your decisions, is understanding your adjudication of what I'm going to call the party's combat power. Your party, how powerful are they? Unfortunately, the 5e CR system is just extremely lacking. I don't know what the designers were thinking, but there is absolutely no mechanics to have the CR system account for a different scale of power. You've got 4 5th level adventurers on one extreme. Let's say they everyone has all abilities of 10, so no bonuses at all, and they don't have a single magic item. Versus you've got another 4 5th level adventurers, and they have all 18s, big bonuses, and they've all got magic items, weapons +2, armor +2 at least. The challenge for those two parties, even though they're the same number and the same level, is vastly different, and the CR system does not account for that at all. So you have to, as a DM, step in and compensate for that. You have to kind of use your judgment, and it has to become sort of a scaling of the CR, meaning, and then it's something you have to fine tune, and it's organic because your party, you're going to get new magic items, you're going to get bonuses to your abilities, etc., and you might need to adjust this. Again, for the purposes of preserving the lethality you want. So if you have a very powerful group on this so-called combat power I'm talking about, and you just use the straight CR system out of the book, they are going to wipe it. It's going to be an amusement park. experience. But maybe you wanted it to be an intense, grim, dark, lethal adventure, and you're not going to get what you want. So what do we do? Let's get to the point. So a tool can be very helpful trying to track all these things. Why? For the first perspective of making your decisions about, as I said, who's going to man the war is going to attack, having a tool keeping track of the actual remaining hit points of all the players is huge, because you want to know that Alina only has 4 hit points left, and that if I choose to attack Alina, I might be going in for a kill, or at least going unconscious, and then I got to make that tough decision about the second multi-attack. I got to sell it. I can't make it feel like I'm intentionally, going easy on Alina, because then the players are going to be like, oh, they're not going to like that. You got to have a thematic reason in mind if you're going to pull that off. What I'm saying is, Alina has 4. I don't want it so lethal. I'm going to choose to target Conan, who's almost at full health, and then that's my decision to try to preserve my lethality that I want. But that would be really hard if you don't have a tool that's tracking all the health of the players. You could easily make a mistake, whoops, and now you're in a corner. Yeah, being able to fudge the die, like I talked about, a tool can be very helpful. If you have a tool that's rolling the dice to all the players, you can behind the scenes basically tell it to fudge the die and roll the die, and all the players will be completely none the wiser. Again, I'm not going to get into whether you should do that or not. Let's just assume you as the DM decide that's what you want to do. You just, again, if I roll a second crit in a row, I'm just not going to take it, and that's just what I want to do. Arguments about whether you should do that aside, that's what you want to do. You need a tool that will then just make it appear as though you rolled the die, will keep that immersion, other than you rolling it behind the screen, and then IRL, then everyone's kind of questioning, well, what is he fudging? Is he fudging? But then if the tool is doing it for you, there's not going to be that concern. Yeah, and then just basically, especially for random encounters, the ability to designate this so-called combat power and automatically equate it to a useful new CR. So if the CR was by the book supposed to be a 5, but I have a high combat power party, some sort of automatic calculation that's going to say, okay, now here's the new CR to get you what you want, is really important, because you don't want to be trying to do that math in your head, especially for, like, say, a random encounter on the fly that you weren't expecting. Okay, so let's take a look at Kobold Helper and some of the built-in tools that it has to support the very things we were talking about. Alright, here we are at koboldhelper.com. We're starting off in the party area. I've got a couple party members already loaded, Alina and Conan, and we can see that Alina is badly hurt with a 4, and Conan's at pretty good health. So we go into a combat situation, and our Manticore attacks. Quickly look up a Manticore, get it added. And here we go. So it's Alina goes, and so now it's up. Now we're up to the Manticore's turn. This is where I, as the DM, need to make important decisions based upon the lethality I'm trying to preserve. We can see right here that the Manticore is making 3 attacks, so there could be a lot of damage here. So if I am clearly see that Alina is in trouble, 4 hit points, if I want to know exactly. So maybe if I'm trying to maintain a more of an amusement park level, I'm going to attack Conan. And vice versa. I'm going a grimdark. I'm going to go lethal, super lethal. I'm going to choose to attack Alina. And the point is I'm not going to make a mistake on what I'm trying to do, because this tool is going to remind me what's going on. Okay, so next up, fudging dice in this situation. Go ahead and just pretend like I was broadcasting out to my players. Get that set up, and so all my watching players now would be seeing the things that are going on. And let's take a look at this dice roller. So normally when I roll a die, if I'm rolling to hit, I roll, and it immediately goes right out to all the players. But I have this option to fudge, so I can click this, and so if when I roll, it's going to first go here, and then I get a chance to fudge the value. So let's just say this was a second crit in a row, and that's what I've decided I'm not going to allow. So instead, I make it a 3, and I send that to the players, and a core missed. Now, we're not going to get into the discussion about whether this is the right thing to do. I'm saying this is what you want to do. The tool will support you. Okay, so then I think last up is taking a look at focusing on like random encounters is especially important, of this idea that the party combat power, as I'm calling it, is a crucial factor that's missing from the base rules. So we have our party level, which is by the book. The CR standard states it's 4 adventurers level is kind of what you're going for. So that's going to get computed based upon their party members you already added. But then you can go ahead and pick this party combat power. So I think it's high because you're skilled players that have lots of high abilities, and they've got pretty good magic items. And so I'm going to go into monster. I'm going to generate. Again, I still going to have my threat level, which is another scaling, but your typical dangerous. I'm going to generate some undead, and here we go. So now you can see the calculated target CR is jumped up to a 5 because I scaled it up because I said it's a high power combat, and I get my nice random set horde of undead. That should be a good one for a high power. I'll automatically add to the combat section. So again, as usual. So now I'm ready to go with my my random undead for a high power party. Ready to go. Okay, so there is some built-in options to help you preserve the lethality that you are trying to achieve. That's Kobold Helper at koboldhelper.com. Totally free. Give it a try. If you have any ideas or any problems, just let me know. You can report an issue here. Thanks, everybody.